Happy opposite day and welcome to the final podcast of the 2023 and 19th Sandlot Fantasy Football season. We're actually doing a closing podcast this year, which feels great. With me this week, I've got Nick. What's going on, Nick?
Hello.
And Hillers. What's up, Hillers?
Hi.
Did you guys enjoy opposite day today?
I don't enjoy anything. There is no joy in the world. Fantasy football is the devil, and there is no joy in anything.
Yeah, how you doing, Nick? You had a. Well, let's get right into it, I guess. Let's get into the playoffs here.
I tried so hard to be dark and brooding. I was like, I can't. So I can't keep going.
How are you doing, Nick? I mean, you guys both had tough losses in the semifinals this year. We'll start with Nick because Nick's was especially.
Let's not start with me. Let's start with Esther. Congratulations.
People want to know.
Congratulations. No, fair. That's true. Good point. We'll start with that. Congrats to Tyler Rosenberg / Esther on / Evan Clark. If you looked at the survey, on winning his first season in the SFFL, continuing a not an every time tradition, but a very frequent tradition of first.
A recent trend.
I don't know, and I think technically, we can even say Larf won too, didn't he? He won the toilet bowl.
Oh, he did, but Dez did not. His first year.
Well, Dez so far is the outlier, but
that's true.
It's Dez.
So Tyler, I think going into the playoffs, I don't know how you guys would have had the teams ranked, but I would think we probably had him at best fourth, maybe
near the bottom.
at winning, third or fourth, maybe depending on how you're looking at it. And just goes to show you just got to get in.
Mm-hmm. Things pan out. Teams get hot. Teams get cold. Weird stuff happens.
To summarize, so a wild card game was who was it? Pritchard losing to Nick. That's right. Nick beating Pritchard pretty handily, I think. And then
like 20 points.
Nick went on to play Tyler in the semifinals. Of course, Tyler pulled that one out. We'll come back to that in a moment. Hillers, you and I played in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Kind of a roller coaster there.
Yeah.
Did you really play? Would you really say what you guys did?
It was a real pathetic playoff game.
We only had
sad.
I had like 8 less points than you, Nick. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but
it was sad.
Yeah.
It was a sad week in general for the league, but that was one of the most anemic, pointsless playoff games in recent memory.
Your team did not show up. My team did
At
not
all.
really show up.
Yeah.
Showed up a little more, but not really. Thank you, Jalen Hurts, for running in everything from the 1 yard line.
Son of a bitch.
So then it got to Tyler and myself in the championship. Weird championship this year.
Oh, yeah.
I was up, 4-ish?
12 points?
You were
12 points?
4. You were up 4.
I think it was 4 points going into the second week. And then we had to go to a third week due to the DeMar Hamlin situation. And then we decided to just push it to week 18 for the players who were involved in that game, which actually worked out pretty well, I think. It was...
Not for you.
No, but I think it was. I think we got it. Made it a true championship. I think there's no real asterisk there. I think so.
Right.
And he Tyler was down 4. He ended up beating me by about 20. I think thanks to Mike Evans scoring 47 points in that second week. Hadn't done anything in about 3 months. So thanks for that, Mike Evans, and the Carolina Panthers secondary especially. We really appreciate you and your terrible coverage.
We see you, Carolina.
But how are you guys doing? We'll start with Hillers. This one will be a little shorter, probably. I mean, you got close.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good season. I can't really have complaints. I got pretty lucky in the draft, I think. Some things panned out that were kind of long shots. So, it's a little disappointing when they all decide to stop playing at once, but they didn't decide to start playing during the championship weeks either. So, it happens.
Probably wouldn't have worked out anyway at that point.
I mean, league history suggests I'll be back in the playoffs soon enough.
Yeah. Nick, on the other hand, Nick's semifinal game was, I think, the closest playoff game we've probably ever had. It came down to what was the difference in that one?
0.24 points. It was 0.25 points would have won.
Yeah, I think
so. Less than 3 yards.
I mean, you can bring it down to anything that happened, right? But I think towards the end, Derrick Henry caught a pass for like no yards, right near the goal line, and I think that's what put Tyler over the top. And then it was just kind of that was it. It was like you're waiting for a scoring change to happen in the next couple days. You're just like,
yeah, with that amount, it's like if anyone's like, oh, they got 2.5 less yards than it said, you're back in the winner category. Normally, I'm never waiting for a scoring change, but with less than a quarter point in it.
Basically, what I was hoping for is that, because that was Miles Sanders had 1 catch for like negative 10 yards. And I was really hoping that was going to get ruled a run, like a run. Like that's what I was hoping for. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah,
didn't happen.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. And honestly, I think I was rooting for Tyler. Turned out it didn't matter much, but I obviously did not want to play your team, Nick. I think most of us thought your team was definitely the strongest. Yeah. And if we were going to get you, it was going to have to be that week. And he got you by the slimmest of margins. So, how long did it take you to kind of get over that one?
Real talk, I think I've been in championships before. I've lost them. I'm still, I'm still not over it. Like, I'm still kind of like, it hurt. It really hurt, especially because I played the game that you shouldn't play. And it's like, no. Yeah, I would have won handily. I would have won the championship. I would have by like 20 points. I would have won it by plus.
So your team was
the hypothetical championship. Yeah.
But the hypothetical championship, I ran away with it this year, and it burns. It burns because it's like you get so far, and it's like it's not just that you get so far and you lose. It's that like if there's any saving grace, it's that I don't necessarily think that my window is closed. I still have a solid core team that will put me in a good position in the draft next year. So that is the only thing that I can kind of hang my hat on. That and the fact that Merrill lost. I think that Merrill losing definitely put me in a better spot.
I'm happy to help out as always on that.
But your team was the best, Nick. Congratulations on an otherwise great season and picking good players.
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. But
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that let's talk about the other people who aren't
here. They're there.
We can talk about this. We can talk about each other offline, or when we're done with this. So let's talk about some other people, or some other things.
Sure. It's just we want to talk about the playoffs, and it's just hard to not talk about us because we were all the playoffs.
This is like an end of the season thing. We can, I think we spent now just about much time talking about my losses. We have Tyler winning, and it's because Tyler's not here. But like,
no, he, I'll tell you what. Just to get into the scheduling thing, that was the weirdest championship. It felt like it was going on for about 3 months. It was just get this thing over. Every day I'm checking, is Jalen Hurts going to play? Is he going to play? What do I do here? Is Hayden Hurst going to play? Like, what's going to happen? And then it's like, and then the DeMar Hamlin thing happens, and it's like, oh, God, now another week of this. And, like, of course, obviously that's the minor thing. You're obviously hoping DeMar Hamlin's going to be okay. But just talking about fantasy specifically, you're like, oh, now we got to run through this and do another week. What are we going to do? There's leagues who push it to the playoffs. There's leagues who do other kinds of tiebreakers. There's leagues who just for some reason cut it off at that point and say that game never happened, and you just count the score as is, which to me was the most ridiculous thing I've ever.
That was the most ridiculous one.
And then there's leagues that did co-champions, which was something else too. We talked about just about every one of those options and just trying to figure out what was going on. I know the league was probably very tired of hearing about it, figuring out what we wanted to do. So a thank you, I know from Tyler and myself to the league for being cool about it and for putting up with all our talk in the WhatsApp and the Discord and everything about it.
No, that's what you guys do.
Yeah. If you tried to be co-champions, we would have killed you both.
That's kind of what we said. We eventually just brought our talk between us because we're like, these guys are checked out. Because you know how it works. Once you lose or once you're out of the playoffs, you don't want to hear about fantasy at all. You're just like, I'm done. I'm out. It hurts too much. Right. I don't want to hear anything.
You go run and play in the field upstate.
Right. So weird year, but I think it all worked out in the end. And speaking of which, I had a question for you guys, and it's kind of a weird one, but if you had to sum up this season in one word, per se, how would you do that? What word would you use? Let's start with you, Nick.
Okay, this is a hyphenated word, but it's hello, darkness, my old friend.
It's not a hyphenated word. That's a sentence.
No, it isn't. And a lyric.
Darkness.
Boy, you really
darkness. No parents.
Darkness, no parents. More darkness, no light. Black hole, no curtains.
Okay, Darkness. Yeah, he still hasn't recovered yet, Hillers. He's still going through the stages.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
What about you? What's your?
I would say novel. A lot of new and interesting stuff happened this year.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Rebirth. I think our league bounced back hard this year. I feel like the previous couple of years I don't know if we were in a lull or we were kind of slowing down a little, but
Getting old.
Starting with the draft, with pretty much everybody at the draft, including people who weren't even in the league. The amount of activity we had this year, the amount of podcasts we did this year, a lot of the talk on the WhatsApp. It seems like the league's in the best spot it's been in a long time, I think, and looking forward to future years.
Yeah.
Cheers to the owners. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It was a lot more fun.
Year 20.
Yeah, the big 2-0. Yeah.
That's right. Year 20 coming up. Are we doing Vegas? What are we doing?
We'll figure it out.
I don't know.
Vegas would be a lot of fun.
Vegas, yeah. It'd be a lot. It'd be a lot for a fantasy draft.
Maybe Atlantic City.
So, yeah, I mean, we didn't really know what to talk about in this year-end review. Oh, congrats to Larf on the toilet bowl, too. We mentioned that, though, didn't we? We did that, so, okay.
Yeah, you got Moxie there. Larf, hang in. Your team isn't that bad.
So we didn't really know what to talk about. A few of the things here. So we've got some stats we wanted to go over, just some owner stats. We've got some takes that we went back and researched from our post-draft podcast, so you can see how good and bad our takes were. We've got both on a few different teams and a few different takes, so that's going to be fun to listen to. And we've got Hiller's kicker journey this year, which I want to take everyone on, which is just entertaining.
Speed it through. No one cares.
But do we want to talk about each team? We don't want to do that, right? We don't want to go through. No reason to do that.
Knows what their teams are.
That'll be for the Rumble draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start out with stats then. We'll skip the stats for now. Some of the stats we looked up here. We've had in our league's history, we've had 27 owners in our league, and only 10 different champions, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know. What does that mean? I guess in a keeper league, that's just going to happen. You're going to have fewer champions, probably.
Probably.
I mean,
probably, but even
yes.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that is what happens, but I mean, you would still think that you would have more.
Right. The variance, right?
The volatility of the league. Like you would think you'd be closer to. I mean, there's 27 owners though, but there's only 12 active at any given time, so.
Right. Yeah, and some of those owners have been since the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
This is also the first year that Greg Roscoe did not make the playoffs. So this is his 5th season.
Huzzah!
The first year he did not make the playoffs. So
congratulations, guys! We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
We took him down. Way to go, guys!
Wasn't easy.
There's a owner spreadsheet. I think I shared out in the WhatsApp if people want to see where these stats came from. By the way. But I try to keep these year to year, win percentage, how many times you make the playoffs, how many championships you have, runners up, toilet bowl winners, stuff like that. So that's where a lot of these are coming from. I'm just going to sound bad to say surprising, but surprising stat is Mike Pritchard has made the playoffs 70% of the years that he's been in the league.
Wow. And he's been in for like 18, like he's been in for a minute too, or like 18 years.
Oh, I can look
17 years.
I'd have to go back and look.
Not 18.
But that's a lot.
It's right there. It's right there. It's maybe he came in the year after, but I mean, I remember
13 seasons, 9 playoff appearances for Pritchard, that's pretty good.
Yes.
Deals with various deities.
Because he hangs under the radar, Nobody, he's just quiet, shows up at the draft.
There, draft some Chiefs.
Just collects
leaves.
Collects his checks, That's what he's doing. You guys are probably looking at this sheet, but I guess I would ask, if you would have had to have guessed before seeing this, who has the most division championships of anyone in our league's history, who would you have said?
Evan.
Yeah. Evan would be a good call.
I guess I would have probably said Pritchard, too, if he's making the playoffs 70% of the time. Once I heard that stat. But turns out it's Grimes and Hillers, which is interesting because I guess Grimes makes the playoffs 70% of the time as well. So not as surprising. but I think I put the Pritchard on there because it just seemed a little more surprising because we don't talk about Pritchard a ton. Grimes has been in the league for 10 years, made the playoffs 7 times. Hillers has been in 19 years and made the playoffs 7 times.
So really, Grimes is actually better because he's in at 70%. He wins 70% of the time.
Right. I mean,
he has a better percentage. He has a higher percentage than Hillers.
Oh, you mean in fantasy he's better?
Yeah.
Well, in life too.
Right.
It's just jealousy. All I'm hearing is the jealousy coming right on through the mic.
The other interesting thing about that,
division champ, statistically significant percentage of the time.
Danny Grimes has never been a wild card team ever. He's either won his division or been out. So 10 seasons, never been a wild card team, which is interesting. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's been in some shit divisions, honestly, and so he just kind of beats up on lesser opponents.
The Rumble has been kind to Grimes.
Yeah, I think so. Roscoe also never been a wild card team. I don't know if that's for the same reason. TBD.
No, he's always been in tough divisions, I think.
And another Hiller stat here. Hillers has the most playoff appearances of any owner in the league at 11. So
I'm lurking.
Yeah, he's. You had a rough stretch there in like the 2013 to 2019 range, I think, Hillers.
Yeah, had some bad years, but I think I'm back on my grind to an extent.
Prior to that, you were like a wild card every year, it felt like, and since then you've been, I think, made the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Another shocking one is Daria, who has 3 championships, has only made the playoffs 5 times. So
it makes good.
When
it happens, watch your ass.
It's like one of those 3 true outcome baseball players, I guess. Where it's either a walk, a strikeout, or a home run, right? And it's like, and Daria, if she's either got, I mean, she had the team this year too, I guess. But
yeah.
But once she's in, she's making a run. It's,
one of those years she had lost like 6 in a row to start the season too, and then just won out and all the way through the championship. It's crazy.
Yes, yeah, she's had some crazy years. So, but I thought that was nuts. Second worst playoff percentage of all owners, with more than like 1 year in the league. She has the second worst playoff percentage, but has 3 championships. It's pretty crazy. And then right behind you, Hillers, for 11 playoff appearances. I have 10 playoff appearances. So, but between the two of us and our 21 playoff appearances, we have 1 championship, and that is yours. So,
yes, it is.
We are not very good when it comes to the playoffs. Yeah, at least you got that.
I did.
And for the worst, we mentioned that Daria has the second worst percentage. The worst percentage belongs to, and I'm sorry to pile on, but it does belong to Andy, who's made the playoffs in his 10 seasons in the league. He has made the playoffs twice, which
shameful.
It's another. There's a reason I put the stat on here. It's a puzzling stat, honestly, because
shameful by any measure.
Feel like Andy knows his stuff, but man,
you feel like that. But the numbers suggest.
But what do we know? We don't know anything. So, any other interesting stuff you guys had on? Just, I don't know. Anything going on there? Any other stats or thing you want to make note of from this year?
No, I don't do stats.
Want to get into our takes?
Let's do our takes.
Sure.
All right. Let's start with our. We'll start with our best takes because I think people want to hear the worst takes, so we'll make them wait for that one. But
yeah, you gotta stick on the.
You
podcast.
won't believe number 5.
Yeah, it was. Oof. Hitler's bad take gets destroyed by whatever. No. All right. So let's start with you, Hillers. Some of your best takes. This is only from the immediate podcast, the podcast immediately following the draft. We went back and looked at the team reviews and what our draft analysis was, and these were our. Right. We'll start with our best takes. So this is as good as they get. So if you're like, wow, that's not very good. I mean, that's all we got.
Right. So out of the best takes, first Andy's team, predictably assuming he was going to be bad. I said the Trey Lance going for more than Dak and Carr combined is something that confuses me, which was very diplomatic of me, I think. That seems like such a thin hope to pin on such an important position.
And that's all he had. That was his only quarterback, was Trey Lance to start the year. So
yeah.
Yeah.
What you thinking about?
Yeah,
At least
solid.
get 2 if one of them's going to be Trey Lance.
Yep.
And my other take was on Darius' team. I have high expectations for this team. If Javonte doesn't pan out, I think Singletary or Kenneth Walker can step into that space. And bad season by results, but I maintain a good team, a scary good team this year, and next year, great place to start for Darius.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, the results bad season, but I think a good season, right? I mean, she put up points. I mean, she did what she had to. So, Nick, what are some of your best takes on here?
I think when we talk about Hiller's team, I think Josh Jacobs might be the steal of the draft. And at $25, one of the earlier players taken off the board, that definitely panned out for him.
More on that to come, by the way.
Okay. And then my other one was regarding Watson. He needed an alpha guy, and he did not get one.
Yeah.
Really hot take, guys. Really hot take.
Yeah. So candidly, I did a lot of this digging back through the research, and it was weirdly hard to find hot takes from Nick. Nick is normally a hot take machine, and like for some reason, the draft podcast, he was not slinging them too much. He was just giving steady, good analysis on teams. So it's like, I don't know.
At the start of the year, we were going to do like corner, and it was going to be a thing, and it just never really. Yeah, I never really lived up to the hype this year.
He knew we'd be talking about it on opposite day. Is what it was.
This is what it was.
Some of mine after the draft, I said Gabe Davis is one of those. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, guys. I don't get it, and $20 is way too much. That was after Watson drafted Gabe Davis for $20. Still don't get it. I don't understand what all the hype was about. But Watson came into the season with T. Higgins.
Not a keeper.
No, he came in with T. Higgins and Gabe Davis as his top 2 receivers, and that's tough.
Proceeded to trade T. Higgins,
and then traded. Yeah. So. And then on Andy's team, I said Saquon at $43 might be the pick of the draft. He could provide about $60 worth of value. And to follow up on that, I think if we had our draft next year, I think if Saquon was in the draft, he might go for close to that. I think he might be close to $60 again. I think now that people have seen, what he can do. All right, let's get into the worst takes. This is what the people want. Blood in the water. Well, I'll start this one here. And of course, if I'm going to have bad takes, we might as well start where it always starts for me, and that's on Daria's team. My bad take, I said, I'm nervous about these wide receivers. With Devontae Adams going to the Raiders and Jalen Waddle behind Tyreek Hill on the depth chart.
They seemed fine to me.
They seem to do okay. So that one, tough scene, tough call on that one. I got a few here. I got a list here. On Nick's team, I said... And then I'm talking about how I love Nick's team. I said, and then you even have Russell Wilson, who's just a top 10 QB every year. Just pencil it in. It's gonna happen.
Wow, that might be the worst one altogether.
I mean, he was right. He was almost right. It was the Seattle quarterback is always a top 10 every year.
Yeah, it turns out it was the jersey. It wasn't the player. Yeah. More on that to come. Also, by the way. And then on Dez's team, responding to. I think it was Nick. I think it was you who said. Yeah, it was. And we'll get to that in a second. You said Deontay Johnson is the alpha that he needed an alpha receiver, and he drafted Deontay Johnson. My response to that was, actually his alpha wide receiver might be Allen Robinson. And Hillers, of course, jumped in and said that's even worse. So that's actually a good take by Hillers to shut me down there. But yeah, Allen Robinson, not an alpha receiver. Doesn't matter what team he's on, turns out.
But speaking of alpha receivers.
Yeah.
Hillers, do you want to get into any of your hot takes?
Here's some of my differently good takes. Okay. Discussing the Chiefs. Not going to happen, Chiefs. I think he decided to start a rebuilding year. This year, I think he's contributing to the weakest division. And it wasn't a strong division, but
but I think what you meant by that, right, was like this is the weakest division, and this is one of the teams that's making it that way.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And hail to the champion, I guess. I mean, that was about as wrong as it's possible to be. This one, I don't know. I don't know if I consider this a differently good take, but I was discussing Roscoe and the Jets, and I said, I don't know if the RB core will be as scary as it was in previous years.
You're talking about the Jets RB core, to say, and I'm trying to look back to a time when the Jets running back core was scary in previous years.
Well, I was a big Michael Carter booster at the end of last season, so
which turned out great.
I know it's out of character for me, but I might have been adding a little hyperbole on that one. And this one is just bad. No excuses on this one. Discussing Knicks teams, I said I think A.J. Brown is probably the most overpaid player in the draft. Which I would retract that take if offered
that was
a second
like.
chance at that.
By the way, that was like the first thing you said with Knicks team. Though you like came in hot on that one. You were like, I don't understand that this A.J. Brown is the most overpaid player in the draft. Like you were coming in hot with that one. So.
Turned out he was good. So that's that's on me.
He might be the most overpaid receiver next year going into the draft.
Might be. All right, Nick.
He might be one of the most expensive keeper. Mine apparently is actually, and Merrill already alluded to it, is that, and when referring to Dez's team, I called he needed an alpha wide receiver, and he secured that with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I want to take a minute here. Can we talk about? Let's just talk about Dez's receivers for a second. Oh God, let me find the draft sheet.
Okay.
Can you guys vamp for a second? You guys talk about something.
Okay. I mean, well, if we're talking about the wounded ducks, it's hardly necessary if we're discussing what happened and how bad it was to limit ourselves to the wide receiver core.
Actually,
but I would be interested to know, Nick, especially with, Joe Burrow looking pretty good at $5, and he's got a $2 Jamal Williams. Of course, Jamal Williams is going to score 17 touchdowns again next season. But do you think he has a chance next year? Is there anything worth keeping here? Or is this a total teardown?
No, I think he's got some good bones. I mean, he's got Joe Burrow, Tony Pollard, Laviska Shenault, right? He's allowed 10.
Laviska
not Shenault. That's not who I meant. I meant Travis Etienne. I meant Travis Etienne.
Does that guy still play?
I meant Travis Etienne. Jacksonville wide receiver. Jacksonville running back.
He's got a running back and quarterback.
In week 4 or 5, I think he referred to his team as the team of bus.
So on that note,
I don't think he was that far off.
On that note, let's. I'm going to take you on two journeys here. We're going to start with Dez's wide receivers that he drafted, the journey that he went through during the draft. On that, kept Hunter Renfrow for $5. Tough one there, but did spend up for a $28 receiver in Deontay Johnson, who I think this year set the record for the most targets ever by a wide receiver without a touchdown. Tough year there. His second highest wide receiver was Allen Robinson, who he spent $18 for. Treylon Burks, $5, who didn't play most of the year. Jalen Tolbert, another rookie, $3, didn't do anything. And his final receiver, those were his best so far. Then Rondale Moore was his final receiver that he drafted, who maybe was his best receiver that he drafted, honestly.
What's he play, golf?
So just to take you through that again, that's Hunter Renfrow, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, Jalen Tolbert, Rondale Moore, and Treylon Burks. I think that's where we can look where Dez's season went wrong, by the way. That's tough.
I mean, it's one of the places.
And then the other is Hiller's kicker journey. I want to take everyone down a journey here. Hiller's, what's your position on kickers?
Kickers are good.
They're
good.
Fun. What does that mean?
Them. They contribute to the game as a position, and they are good.
Analysis.
Yep,
they're on the field doing stuff.
They make the game more fun, and they add a different element to the game.
Okay, so I've heard you in the past.
Keep in mind, none of those points were "I am good at kickers."
Well, you've made that point though in the past. I just want to.
Okay, well,
definitely heard you
for
make
this
that.
season. For this season,
yeah, good time to do that because let's go down this. Mr. Hiller spent $4 on Justin Tucker in the draft because he's the best kicker, right? You want to draft him, you pick him up, he just finishes the best. He dropped him in week 3. Justin Tucker ended up finishing 3rd overall as for kickers, but Hiller's dropped him after 2 weeks. To pick up Kaimi Fairbairn for $1, who I guess wasn't good enough because 3 weeks later he dropped him. To pick up Greg Zuerlein for $2. Only kept him for 3 weeks. Greg Zuerlein ended up finishing 8th overall, so another top 10 kicker he dropped off his roster. Picked up Graham Gano in week 9 who finished 6th overall. He picked him up for $4, but he only kept him for 3 weeks, even though that was another top 10 kicker.
No one cares about this.
That he picked up. In week 12, he picked up a kicker for $2, Will Lutz. 1 week later, he drops Lutz. I guess he didn't realize he was on bye. The week after that, picked up McPherson for $2. So for those of you counting, Hiller spent $15 total on kickers this year of his free agent money, which is roughly, I want to say like 15%. I want to say
7%, 7.5%.
No regrets.
Oh, it is 100. Yeah, it is 50%. Yeah, it's $100 for that.
I'd do it again.
And all that money got him 11th out of 12 in kicker points, and he dropped 3 different top 10 kickers during that process. So
I'd do it again.
The next time he says kickers aren't completely random and don't matter at all, let's just remember this kicker journey.
Okay, next time he says kickers don't matter, I will remember this.
Kickers are good. Part of the game. Advantage to you guys that I spent $15 on kickers.
Some other notes out there. Harrison Butker and Daniel Carlson both went for $3. One of them finished 28th overall. One of them finished 2nd overall. Evan McPherson went for $2, finished for 20th overall. Someone felt they should spend up on him in the draft for 20th overall. Tyler Bass, $2 for a 9th overall kicker. Eddie Pinheiro, the number 7 overall kicker this year, never on a team. No one ever picked him up, ever used him. Find me another position where that happens. Brett Maher, who been tough for him lately, but was good during the regular season. He was the number 1 overall kicker and was only used for 7 of our 17 weeks of fantasy football. He was only started for 7 of those weeks, even though he was the number 1 overall kicker. Graham Gano, number 6 overall, was used for 5 weeks. Nick Folk, the 5th overall kicker, was a free agent until week 10. So
you've proved nothing.
Yep.
It's a different position. People are differently good at it.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Stay strong, kicker contingent. If only because it angers Farrell.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. I think you guys sound like such idiots talking about kickers. It's funny to me. You guys want to get into the awards?
Yeah. What the poll? What'd the poll say?
So this year, we started a tradition unlike any other.
I like this tradition. This is a good call by you.
Yeah. So let me see if I can.
It's tradition that has happened once.
So I can pop this up on the screen here. Nope, that's not it. Nope, we can't.
Technical mastery you've come to expect in the Sandlot cast.
Can you guys vamp for another minute? Talk about Dez's crappy team some more or something? Give me a second.
Well, surely there were other crappy teams. I mean, shout out to some of the teams we haven't really discussed so far. Like the Dad Dicks.
Yeah, we're talking about Grimes.
Yeah. I mean, Grimes, you still had way more wins than you deserved at an 84 and 103 all play, which was not that great. But, you hung in there and you made meatball salad competitive for the couple weeks by coming in near the playoffs. So good for you. Well done.
That's his Justin Fields thing coming up. That's his. He's got a quarterback of the future potentially there, like coming in and getting that going.
Conversely, I would say Slod Tadpoles is probably better than a 6-11 record and has some chances.
No, they were good enough to win the championship. They were good enough to win the
toilet bowl, right?
Yeah. Toilet bowl championship. I mean,
so maybe focus on that going into the next season.
All right, we can't get it up on the screen, so we're just going to run through them. So we asked a few questions. We'll start off with the good. The 2022 Sandlot Fantasy Football League MVP for players. Nominees were Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. So, just so you guys know, my thinking on this, there's obviously more that could have been nominated, but it's when it comes to some, receivers, for instance, it's I can't nominate somebody over Tyreek Hill, right? I can't say, oh, well, yeah, sure, Jalen Waddle had a great year, Justin Jefferson was amazing, or stuff like that, when, these other guys were just, we're just really good and better, too, so. So the 2020, I'm sorry, just Jefferson and Tyreek Hill are both on. That's a bad example. Like Cooper Kupp, for instance, or something. You couldn't put somebody on there when those two guys were already on there because they're just better. Why would you vote for them? So we got 11 votes, and there was a tie. So we might have to break this vote.
How do we have 11 votes?
Because, I'm sorry, 10 votes.
Oh, 5 and 1. 5 and 1.
10 votes. I'm sorry, 10 votes we got. And there's a tie, 4, 1, and 1. So Austin Eckler and Josh Jacobs each got 1 vote. And then Justin Jefferson and Travis Kelce tied with 4. So we're going to have to use our authority here to break the tie to declare a fantasy football
For
MVP.
fantasy football, got to give it to Kelce.
Yeah.
I would agree. I say Kelce as well. So congrats to Travis Kelce. Suck at Roscoe on his first ever.
I can't wait to tweet this to him. I'm going to be like, hey, Travis, guess what? You just won the MVP award in our league. And he's going to be like, sweet, man, thanks.
All right.
I want to shake the hand of the owner who owns me. I'm going to be like, great, man.
There's no way he's going to say that.
You don't know.
You're more likely to get a restraining order than a handshake.
Oh, Nick's his manager, dude. They're tight. Biggest bust.
Tell it to the cops.
Little throwback to our worst takes here when we see how this turns out. But who was the biggest bust? Again, we had 10 answers. Candidates were Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Allen Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, and Kyle Pitts. Just a cavalcade of disasters.
Wow.
Cavalcade disasters.
I mean,
that's a candidate for team name next year.
Hiller's cavalcade of disasters.
I mean,
yeah. So, who did you guys vote for? Look, can we ask? Do we want to reveal our votes, or is that personal?
I don't remember if I voted for Russell Wilson or Kyle Pitts.
I definitely voted for Russell Wilson.
I voted for Kyle Pitts, and I was the only one who voted for Kyle Pitts. So.
Okay, then I probably voted for Russell Wilson. There may have been a little bit of bias in that.
So much money, so much expectation from an entire city, only to be now universally reviled by pretty much everyone that follows football.
Yeah, I guess if you take the NFL aspect into it, that's a
plummet.
So only 3 people got votes. Kyle Pitts got 1. Jonathan Taylor got 2. Because let's remember, Jonathan Taylor was the #1 overall pick by kind of consensus this year.
Yeah, but the likelihood is that you're going to fall from 1 on any given season.
But not as far as he fell. I mean, he was pretty bad. I mean, his injuries, but still, that's a bust. Russell Wilson, your winner, with 7 out of 10 votes. Landslide.
Well earned.
He won something this year. So congrats to you, Russell Wilson. Steal of
2.
Steal. Oh, that's Nick just gobbling up the awards. Who was the steal?
God, there's so many awards. Hang on a second. It almost makes up for the 2.5 yards I lost.
One of them is like the poo emoji, though. It's not one you want to take home. It's one you're forced to take home.
Who was the steal of the draft? Candidates were Tony Pollard, $20, finished 7th overall at running back. Jamal Williams, $2, finished 15th overall at running back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $10, finished, I can't see, 7th overall at wide receiver. Josh Jacobs, $25, the 3rd overall running back. And Jalen Hurts, $13, the 3rd overall QB, but was 1st overall until he got hurt. So everybody got votes in this list.
Whoa.
But only one person got more than 1 vote. That person got 6 votes, and that is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
for the steal of the draft, who was also the first pick of the draft, if I remember right, wasn't he?
It was very early. I don't think it was the first pick.
I don't remember who the first pick was, to be honest.
Yeah.
We need to start marking.
It was the first round of picks for sure. And I remember feeling a sense of regret when I got him because I had a big red crayon through his name. Do not draft Josh Jacobs.
Well, it was your pick of the draft, so good call.
$25.
Yeah, you nailed it. All good picks though. You had how many? And so Hiller's, like the Jamal Williams thing. Did you guys covered this when you were vamping Jamal Williams? Like how many 1-yard touchdowns did he have this year? Like that can't happen again, right?
It's like 17. It's never going to happen again.
He tied Barry Sanders' record for touchdowns in a season. It's disgusting.
But in a very different way.
Completely disgusting.
1 yard at a time. I felt like he had 30 yards on the season and 17 touchdowns. Like
Jerome Bettis numbers.
Get ready for some of the biggest regression possible on Jamal Williams.
Well, Dez had 2 of those guys. He had Zeke and Jamal Williams, and they both just ran in 1-yard touchdowns all year. That's all they did. And I don't know what it was about the teams they were on.
I don't think you can constitute what Zeke did as running.
Falling, stumbling.
Yeah, that's more like it.
All right, we got another tiebreaker on this next one, boys.
Time to weigh in.
Who had the most soul-crushing injury of the year? And nominees were Keenan Allen, Darren Waller, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, Brees Hall, and Javonte Williams.
Hamlin not on the list, I see.
Okay. No, not on the list. Keenan Allen and Darren Waller did not get votes, so, whatever there.
Well, it does sold.
It had to be Kupp. It had to be Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor tied with 2 votes.
Oh.
And your winners, you're currently tied for the lead. 2 players are Javonte Williams and Brees Hall.
At how many votes?
3 votes each.
Oh, well, then I changed my vote to Cooper Kupp to make it the 3-way tie.
Yeah, that's not You probably already voted for Cooper Kupp.
I would say Brees Hall of those 2 because preseason I feel like he got more hype and that he was supposed to be, bell cow, franchise-making running back. And Roscoe certainly believed it and needed it to happen in that division that he was in, and it never did.
I'm going to say Javonte. I think Javonte was a bigger injury.
Okay.
I think he had some truly special potential. As bad as that offense was, he was the lone bright spot. And then when you bring it specifically to our league, the fact that Daria had Javonte, can you imagine if Javonte remained healthy on that team, like Daria would have been, the season probably would have turned out a little differently.
Sliding doors, who knows?
Yeah. So, but
you're the tiebreaker then, Nick.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Javonte for both, like from an NFL and a fantasy standpoint. I think that Javonte probably had the most hype around them, and at least from a fantasy standpoint and like an NFL standpoint, the Jets kind of had, like, Michael Carter was kind of going to be there stealing touches from the guy, and so like who really knows how that really would happen? But it was Javonte's job to lose. Like it
right,
was.
yes. Melvin Gordon disappeared down the stretch. They had to bring in Latavius Murray at some point to run the ball. Like it would have been Javonte running away with that.
So the fact that the Broncos had to bring in Latavius Murray shows how important.
Yeah, so I think
Russell Wilson playing like that, how much were they really going to be running?
Well, that's why you run.
Well, I mean, you're not going to go anywhere though. They just stack the box because Russell will probably just throw it in your face mask.
Yeah. So all right, Javonte Williams, biggest soul crushing injury. Not a bad case for Brees Hall. Obviously, the league thought pretty big. All right, rookie with the brightest future. I didn't know what to call this award. And maybe we should have workshopped it a little bit, but I didn't want to say like rookie of the year because that's more like
brightest star.
Who had the best year as a rookie? I wanted to make this more of like a
who has the most hope.
Yeah, the most potential going forward, like the best buy, like the person who like people were most excited about going forward.
The new Hopi.
The new Hopi. Yeah.
The newest hope.
The newest hope. I like that. We'll go with that.
Yeah. In that it's usually followed by a painful, crushing sequel.
Yeah. So another tie here.
It's called Karma Strikes Back.
Right.
Another tie with, and we'll run through the nominees here. The nominees were Dameon Pierce, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, and I have Dameon Pierce twice. That's stupid. So that's it. Everyone got a vote, at least one.
Well, shouldn't Dameon Pierce have had 2 then if everyone got a vote?
No, because he only got 1 on the first Dameon Pierce. Pierce, the first one. Somebody saw through that. Wow. Really tried to push that towards Dameon Pierce, you know? I tried to stack the box. I didn't even vote for him. That's the weird thing. So Dameon Pierce and Brees Hall each got 1 vote. Chris Olave got 2. And then tied at 3 votes were Kenneth Walker and Garrett Wilson. So we've got to decide who we think is the rookie that we're most excited about going forward.
Kenneth Walker was my vote, and I'm gonna stick with it. Garrett Wilson looked great, but it's just a little late season-y for me to think I can take that to the bank next season, and it really looks to be Kenneth Walker's job there. He was doing a fantastic job moving the ball. Seahawks look like they generally know what's going on. Of the 2, if you offered me both and I could only have 1, I'd take Kenneth Walker.
I'm going to side with Nick here. I know Nick's not going Kenneth Walker by his face. I'm gonna
I'm not going
say
against Walker, but I really neither of them am I hopeful for because they're both on good teams in our fantasy leagues. So,
yeah.
I don't want
It
JD
doesn't mean
to
you
have
support them. It just means which one do you think
if
will
I
have
could
a
get
good
one of
season.
them, if I could get one of them,
Yes,
it
that's
would
what it
be
is.
Walker. It would be Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, there you go. I would say Garrett Wilson. I think I don't know. I just think receivers. I don't know, for some reason they have longer careers. They seem to be producing, getting closer, and they're more
It's just
reliable
that-
than running backs sometimes. I think Garrett Wilson started slow this year because he had Zach Wilson throwing in the ball. Once they got someone other than Zach Wilson in there throwing the ball, it seemed like he really started taking off. So that'd be my vote.
I think as
good
of-
case, but receivers with the small sample size, though. I mean, it's really anyone's guess.
As of 9:15, I'm saying Walker. As of 9:15 on 125, I'm saying Walker just because it's the Jets. I would rather have a Seattle running back than a Jets wide receiver.
That's fair. Okay. I can't argue with history, man. And then the final one, question 6, and we can always add more or take some away. We'll figure out what we want to do for awards each year. But our final one this year was who was the SFFL Manager of the Year. Request was you don't vote for yourself. Nominees were Tyler Rosenberg, our champion, Nick Makita, Mike Pritchard, Mike Merrill, Daria Lovins, and Chris Hillers. Pritchard and Hillers were the only ones that did not get votes. Sorry, Hillers.
Man, you haters! See me rolling.
Yeah, you made a lot of moves too. You were moving and shaking. You had a lot of stuff.
That's how I like to do.
You had the best. You had the best pick of the
kicker
draft, and nobody
It was the
even
kicker
gave you a
thing.
vote.
It was the
No
kicker.
one even cared.
It was the kicker.
Oh yeah,
thing.
you
It
spent
was-
$15 on kickers. That's
That's
gonna
going to
hurt
kill
you.
you every time.
No,
14
it's that,
maybe.
it's that they seen me rolling, and they hate.
So at one vote, Dari got one vote. Tyler and Nick got 2 votes, and I got 5. So
That makes sense.
People
thank
feel
you for
bad for
that.
you. Those are
You
pity
made a lot of
votes.
good moves. See, the thing
I'll
is that
t- I'll
Tyler
take
and I feel like Tyler made a couple of moves, but he didn't do anything groundbreaking. Pritchard made one big move, and I don't know why they didn't get more. Maybe it's just because it wasn't splashing enough to really make any kind of move the needle that much for his team. I mean, I did no moves. I did nothing fancy. I had the same team that I played the waivers a little bit. But you were making a lot of moves, and you were improving your team. And when Cup went down, you made the big move to go all in. And
I voted for you, Nick. I thought I know you didn't
I
make a lot of
also voted
moves.
for you, Nick.
I know you didn't make a lot of moves mid-season, but I think draft is part of this, right? And I think your draft was excellent, and your off-season moves were excellent, and it put you in a place to really compete. So that's why I did that. I think the Pritchard thing, I think it's because he kind of – it's what we talked about. The guy makes a playoff 70% of the time, but nobody ever talks about him or knows it. He's like this silent assassin. He's like Treadstone out there, just going around, just kind of shows up, does his job,
The assassination
the Brandon
sub-hero
Cooks of our
the
league.
CIA and not the tire company.
just silently every year has 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he's the Brandon Cooks.
10 touchdowns.
He's a top 15 every year, right? Yeah. So I think the Tyler thing, like you said, I mean, he had 3 running backs on his roster all season, just 3.
That's
can't
so
imagine.
risky. That's
I
so
can't
risky.
imagine only having 3 running backs
I'd
on
be
my
having
roster.
a heart attack if I had 3 running backs on any given week.
I want 9 running backs. I need 9 running backs because they all get hurt all the time. I can't. Andy and I were talking about. We're like, we can't do that. We can't do stars and scrubs. We don't. That's not how things go for us. But yeah. So anyway,
That wasn't even stars and scrubs. That was just stars.
it turned out to be mostly stars. Yeah.
And
so.
and
No, his
scrubs.
team. Yeah,
When you have
his
3
team had
running
plenty of
backs.
scrubs.
Yeah, no, but when you have 3 running backs and you start all 3, I mean, there's no scrubs.
Yeah. So
He literally don't want no scrubs.
You don't. That's it. That's all I got.
right.
I think we can call it there. Thanks, guys, for the podcast. We got them going pretty frequently this year, so I want to thank you guys for getting on board with that. Any predictions for next year? Who's going to win it? Early prediction?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask if we're going to get maybe even 10 views a podcast next season if we
No, we'll get
if we keep at it.
That's no chance. I know Tyler will watch because he always messages me. He's like, "When's the next podcast?" It's like,
We live in hope.
I pick. I want to stick with Nick. I think Nick takes one home next year.
Hell, I'll She won't believe it, but so I'll get in here and say Daria does one of her rare playoff appearances.
Such a homer. You're such a Daria homer.
Slash titles. Well, her teams are really good. Even when she has losing seasons,
5 playoff appearances in the history of the league.
Yeah,
I'm just
look
saying.
at the teams. Go back and look at the teams. The all play is obscene.
Didn't make
It's
playoffs.
so good.
Not impressed.
Next year, I'm going with everyone that's in the playoffs no matter who's in the playoffs next year, we will have a first-time champion.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah, probably Larf.
So no repeat for Tyler then.
That's what I'm saying.
Better not be.
Okay.
We'll turn on him so fast. You're getting praise now, rookie owner. You win a second one.
And you know what? And I'm even going to go one further. I'm going to go one further. It's going to be a whole team of that. There's going to be only a new champion next year, and it's going to be Ween.
Oh, there you go.
That's just for spectacle.
That'd be something.
I'm just getting the best draft out of the way now.
That's
I'm
just clickbait.
Karma.
Let's see what the Rumble has to say, and then we'll take another look.
He's like 2-0 in the Rumble. He's like 3-0 in the Rumble.
That's the problem. He wins too early. He peaks too early. He peaks at the Rumble. Just it's all downhill after that. He's got to really.
Ask anyone who's good at fantasy football. They'll tell you can't peak in the Rumble.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. That's going to do it for 2023. Thanks everyone for watching. Tyler mostly, since you're the only one, and for Hillers, for Nick,
for Mike Merrill.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you guys. We'll talk. Or that was 2022. Sorry, we'll talk to you guys in 2023.
Again in 2023.
Yeah, man.